All right, diving in today, folks, to something, well, pretty huge: information technology and moral values. How we act, what's right, what's wrong, all that. But in this crazy digital world, we're going deep. And for you philosophy fans out there, we're using a heavy hitter: the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Their whole entry on this.
Yeah, it's a big one. We're basically trying to figure out, as philosophers would, how does all this tech, all this data, change how we even think about right and wrong? Our whole ethical system up for debate thanks to ones and zeros. Kind of wild.
Totally. And like right off the bat, it's the data itself, right?
Yeah.
Buying stuff online where your phone thinks you are, every Google search, it's all a record. A digital trail of, well, us. Makes you think about, like, who owns that? Is it like a resource? Oil, but for the information age.
And that's where the philosophy kicks in. Who controls this stuff? How should they use it? What's public, private, or just corporate property? It's a whole new battleground for ideas like autonomy, control, even what privacy means anymore.
Like you'd think it got as a resource, you know? If some company had all the oil, we'd have problems. But digital stuff, it's different. You copy a file, it's not gone from the original, right? Everyone can have it.
Exactly. Non-exclusory, they call it. Changes the whole game. Look at the fights over music, movies, software. Everyone wants it free, but someone made it. Moral maze, right there. How we value this new kind of stuff.
And it's not just new problems, right? The article brought up Socrates, the OG philosopher. He hated writing, thought it'd make people forgetful, shallow thinkers. Sounds like the internet debate today, doesn't it?
Right. Socrates worried writing gave you the look of knowing, not true wisdom. So, for us, how do we make tech do more than just Google results? How do we get real understanding from it? Big question.
Then, fast forward a bit, Richard Mason, back when computers were getting going, he warned this would mess with our whole social contract, how we agree to live together.
Mm-hmm.
Privacy, accuracy, property, accessibility, he called it POPI, all in danger. And wasn't wrong.
Yeah, and what he maybe didn't see was how fast it all moved. Tech changes so quickly, laws and ethics can barely keep up. It's like this wild west out there, constantly needing new rules for the game.
So with all this changing, how do we even analyze it morally? The article breaks it down by what tech does done. Records, transmits, organizes, synthesizes information. And conveniently, computers do it all.
Exactly. So we can look at the moral issues for each part. Storing data, global communication, algorithms choosing what we see, AI doing who knows what. Each a philosophical headache waiting to happen.
So recording information, it's power, they say, especially in our economy. Data is the new gold, right? So the big ethical thing is gathering, storing, accessing it all. It's got to be fair. No cheating the system. But it's these third parties scooping up data, maybe without us really knowing. That's where it gets sketchy.
Yeah, like we give our fingerprints to our Fitbits, phones track us everywhere. If that info gets out, privacy's gone. And it's not just the obvious stuff. Websites remembering what you clicked on, that kind of tracking is everywhere.
Makes you feel kind of watched, right? I like that guy, Scott McNeely, who said we have zero privacy. Sounds bleak. But then Helen Nissenbaum pushes back, right? Even if walls don't exist online, we still need privacy to be ourselves, grow as people.
That's the philosophical core of it. Maybe hiding isn't possible digitally, but the need for privacy, that's human. It's about agency, And then there's the cloud. All our stuff on some server. Big responsibility for those companies to not screw that up.
Then there's sharing info, right? The article says digital stuff really strains old ideas of privacy. Printing a book, that's one thing. Copying a file, sending it around the world instantly, totally different. Privacy, confidentiality, owning your ideas, trusting what you read, even if it's true, all under pressure.
Absolutely. Who gets to share? What about you? Medical records, browsing history, it's all up for grabs. Alan Weston, he said, controlling your info, IS privacy. But problem is, big tech makes money by using our data. Kind of clashes there.
Right, the fair trade thing. We get free apps, they get our data. But do we really understand what we're giving them and how much? That's where the ethics get murky. It's not a fair fight, information-wise.
Tavani and Moore, they say focusing on what we control misses the point. So much data is just collected we don't even know. They say companies have to be the good guys here, limit access, whether we ask them to or not, higher standards.
And with everyone online, there's the dark side. Cybercrime, identity theft, scams, all that. Costs a fortune, hurts people. So security online, that's a moral issue now, too. But it's tough because security clashes with that whole information wants to be free idea, the hacker mindset.
Yeah, it's baked into how we design things. Hackers, some say they're doing good, exposing bad stuff. Others say breaking in is breaking in, wrong no matter what. It's like digital civil disobedience, whole debate there.
And tech makes old moral debates worse, you know.
Right.
Copyright, pornography, harder to control when it's so easy to copy and share. The article even says, like, the values of whoever makes the tech, they end up shaping society. Kind of scary, right?
Totally. And it's on us, too, as users. We got to check if what we read online is true, accurate, useful, all that. Problem is, search engines, they use secret algorithms, so who knows what we're not seeing. Clickbait, that's just the tip of the iceberg, trust-wise.
And let's not forget the digital divide. Not everyone has equal access to information, especially in poorer countries. Creates new kinds of inequality, even cybercolonialism, imposing one culture's ideas on others. Messy.
And different cultures see privacy differently, too. What's a big deal in one place isn't in another. So making tech that's ethically sound everywhere, that's a tall order for sure.
Moving on, organizing information. The article talks about this guy, Norbert Wiener, and his cybernetics thing. Basically, machines making decisions, not people. Back then it was theoretical. Now it's our credit cards getting declined for no reason.
Yeah, scary part is these decisions, they're made by algorithms, complex math we don't understand. So how do we know they're fair or even right? Getting your card blocked is annoying, but what if it's a loan or, something important?
And this all leads to what they call the moral paradox of information tech. We want it cheap, easy, free even, but also secure, reliable, especially for important stuff. Like, can you really have both?
Stuart Brand, he said it best, information wants to be expensive, but also free.
Yeah.
That kind of sums it up. Wanting it both ways, that's going to be the moral fight for a long time, I think.
So zooming out to culture, Web 2.0, social media changed everything, right? How we connect, share, even what friend means now. And augmented reality is blurring real and fake even more. Who knows what that'll do?
Social media, it's great for connecting, but it also messes with friendship in a philosophical way. Shannon Mallers, she looked at it through Aristotle's ideas. Online, you can miss out on that real shared life, empathy, truly knowing yourself. We need new wisdom for this stuff, she says.
And privacy on social media, man, it's a minefield. James Parrish, he had some good advice. Think about who else is in your photos, double check what you share. Remember, it's basically forever online. Good rules to live by. And then the whole business model, free service for your data, that never stops being creepy.
It's not like they're being evil, but making money off our info is the game. That tension between us and the companies, it's always going to be there no matter how anonymous they say they make it.
Online games, whole other thing. Violence, sexism, it's all there. Do virtual actions matter? Some say no, but Mark Kokelberg, he thinks it can affect your real-world morality. Scary thought. Though some games can teach good stuff too, like empathy.
Yeah, it's tricky. Does shooting someone in a game make you violent in real life? Maybe, maybe not. But virtual pedophilia, that's where the line gets blurry. Is it real harm? Some say yes, some say no. Big debate. And then games are becoming their own societies with rules, power struggles, the whole thing. What are the designers responsible for?
And these online worlds, they can be addictive, right? Antisocial, make people lonely. Though some studies say it's not that simple, especially with multiplayer games. But the sexism, that's still a problem. Mostly male characters, women often portrayed. Not great. And the whole gamer culture can be kind of hostile to women.
For sure. Research is looking at how men and women make moral choices differently in games, and if virtual punishments for being bad can make online spaces more ethical. Interesting stuff. And of course, kids growing up with this tech constantly, that's a whole other moral minefield. Doctors are worried about screen time, lack of exercise, all that.
Then there's the transparency paradox. Free social media makes billions because they sell our data. Mark Zuckerberg talks about connecting people, being open, but that openness is what makes them money. Kind of ironic.
Yeah. Andrew Keen, he warned about this years ago. Too much sharing, this cult of transparency, it makes us dumb, he says. Gives too much power to these huge companies, and we don't even think about it. Like the Facebook thing with Cambridge Analytica, that was a wake-up call.
Right. And O'Neill, he says just being transparent isn't enough. Lying is still lying, even if you do it out in the open. Shannon Valor, she really nails it. They want U.S. to be transparent, but they hide how their algorithms work. Uneven playing field.
Totally. And then, can't forget malware, spyware, all that nasty stuff. It's getting worse. Ransomware, attacking phones, stealing crypto, hacking the cloud. Never ends.
And hacking itself, is it ever ethical? Most malware is bad, obviously, but even antivirus, that industry has issues. It's always playing catch-ups. There's always a way to exploit things.
Yeah.
That's where the money is, sadly.
There's even a debate about making malware for good, fighting fire with fire, but most security people say, nope, all malware is bad, end of story. And then there's nation states doing cyber warfare, that's a whole other level. Attacks every day, going after power grids, even using malware to break physical stuff, like with Stuxnet.
Yeah, Stuxnet was wild. Scary stuff. And the ethics of cyber warfare, it's all brand new. When's it okay to fight back? And how? Some say cyber weapons are better, less people die. Others say it just makes war easier to start and never really ends.
Right, like Flame, that spyware, it was pure espionage. Crazy sophisticated. And James Moore, he has a good point. Philosophers need to get involved early with new tech, make sure it's built with ethics in mind. Otherwise, we're just reacting to disasters.
And it's all moving so fast. Moore's Law, computers doubling in power all the time. Some people, like Ray Kurzweil, they think we're headed for the singularity where machines become smarter than us. Changes everything.
Some philosophers are freaking out about it, like Mary Midgley. She says transhumanism, this idea of merging with machines, is just fear of death, bad science. John Sullins, he worries they'll dismiss the human body like it's obsolete. Others say, no, the future's bright, we can transcend our limitations, like Nick Bostrom. Huge philosophical clash.
And then, of course, AI and artificial life. AI, making computers think like us, solve problems. Artificial life, making, well, life, but artificial. How do we program ethics into that? And will they even care about us?
Alan Turing, he came up with the imitation game, basically. Can a computer fool you into thinking it's human? We're not quite there yet, but AI is getting really good at specific things. David Gelernter, he's worried. If they're not conscious, do we owe them anything, morally? Sullins disagrees, says maybe consciousness isn't everything for ethics. Scary to think about. And now people are making ethical guidelines for AI, which is a whole new field.
Artificial life is even wilder. There's the computer kind, simulating life like those self-replicating programs. That already raises ethical questions like what if they go out of control? But then there's Wepa life, making real new life forms in a lab, like that artificial bacteria, JCVI Syn 1.0. That's where bioethics and information ethics collide.
Yeah, could we accidentally make something dangerous? Some say we should be super cautious, use the precautionary principle. Others say no, we need to be brave, push forward like Badeau and Craint. It's progress versus risk, a classic dilemma.
And robotics, that's information tech in the real world, right? Robots in war, in hospitals, even sex robots, people are working on that. How do we program morality into something physical? That's what roboethics is all about. And soon, we'll have robots making decisions on their own, in the real world, with real consequences.
Military robots are the biggest worry. They're already being used. Some can even choose targets themselves. Singer, he says this is changing warfare forever. Plough, he's documented robots killing people. And the ethics man, can robots decide who lives or dies? Should they be allowed to? Dabringer, he's all over that debate. Some say robots will make war less bloody, fewer casualties. Others say it'll make starting wars too easy, and civilians will be even more at risk.
It's mind-blowing to think tech used to be the ethical problem. Now we're using it to figure out ethics. Automated moral reasoning, that's a whole new thing.
Yeah, people are using computers to test out philosophical ideas, like Grimm and Danielson. Sullins, he's using them to study how cooperation evolves, the origins of morality, basically.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Slordy and Sanders, they have this idea of artificial evil, basically information being destroyed. A new way to think about bad things happening in the digital world.
And Mario Bunge, he says building tech, IS, making ethics, every program, every algorithm, it's a moral choice. Techno-ethics, he calls it. Fascinating.
And Flaherty, he takes it even further. He thinks we can create informational organisms that are actually moral agents. They'll make choices, have responsibilities, just like us. That's some next-level philosophy right there.
Yeah.
He says information itself has value, deserves ethical consideration.
His model uses computer logic to explain how an artificial thing could act morally. We're not there yet, but it's getting closer. Thinking robots, that's not sci-fi anymore. So that's where we are. Information tech is changing how we live, how we think, even what it means to be human. Big stuff.
So, for our philosopher listeners out there, what NLW? Are old ethical systems, do they even work anymore? Do we need new ones for this digital age? That's the question to ponder, folks. Thanks for diving in with us.